I want to challenge myself to master 7 skills in 7 days. Skills that I think are the most crucial for content creation. Some of these I might already use, but I'm certainly no master at. Okay, if I'm gonna pull this off, then day one has to start with organization. At the end of the day, when you're making content, whether it's for streaming or for videos, if you aren't organized, then you're likely gonna tread water and never make progress towards whatever your goal is. You don't have teachers, bosses, managers, work groups, or just friends in general that are holding you accountable to turn work in or to work. So you need to be on top of it for yourself.
And that's why we're here at my whiteboard today, which I don't normally film, so I apologize if it looks a little dodgy. But you know what they say, the enemy of productivity is perfection, so go with me on this. So right now, the way I organize my entire life is through to-do lists. And I know that's not the best way to actually be productive, but that's just how it is. Now, I no longer use this physical to-do list. These days, I actually use an app called Todoist. And on that app, I will split up each day into specific tasks or topics to allow my brain to focus without having to shift gears. So every Monday, for example, I script videos and make thumbnails for Stream Scheme. So we would go here and we would say Monday and we would say Stream Scheme like that. And that would be every single Monday. And then down here on Monday, we would say script 2 videos. And we would also say make 2 thumbnails. And that's my focus. There's nothing else that's gonna happen on Mondays outside of that. I focus entirely on Stream Scheme. But that doesn't mean I don't do anything else. On Thursday, for example, it could be my side channel, the Eljay channel. And that will be every Thursday. And on Thursdays on the Eljay channel, I will record project and I will edit that same project. And the idea there is that, well, again, every Thursday I get into a headspace where it's time for me to record and focus on that type of content. By consolidating certain projects to certain days, it really helps me to stay motivated, focused, and most importantly, productive. Because for example, on Monday, I don't need to randomly stop thinking about education content and the tone and well, content like this, and suddenly start thinking about gaming content, which is obviously a very different process and it's a very different audience. And so if I'm having to shift my brain between the two things, I find I make worse content. But the thing is, I know that this isn't actually the most productive way to make content, and I know it's not the most productive way to exist. It's just what works for me. And to be honest, I've taken years to find a system that works for me, okay? So I'm a bit hesitant to abandon my system and what has worked for me.
That said, for this challenge, the goal is to become a master. So I've actually spent all morning watching creators like Ali Abdul, both on YouTube and Skillshare, who we'll hear more about later in this video. The reason I've been watching these is because I really want to understand their ideas for productivity and organization. And one idea that has actually really stuck out for me is the morning dump. Now, I already do a morning dump after my coffee every day, but apparently this is a bit different. The idea for this is every morning when you first sit down to work, before you do anything, you start by writing 3 to 5 paragraphs of just thoughts. They could be random notes, they could be things that are on your mind, they could be your dream from last night, they could be an idea you had while having breakfast, what your goals are for that day, or what you're prioritizing in general with that day. I spend so much time outside of work hours thinking about videos and ideas that I think this could be a really good way every morning to put all of that on paper rather than just forgetting about it or getting confused and distracted. Especially because if I can combine this with my to-do list by picking 3 of the most important tasks to add to my morning dump, I think it could be a really good way to organize myself every morning. So the way I did this was I wrote up this Notion template, and by that I mean I asked Notion AI to write this template, and I'll put this in the Stream Scheme Discord if you guys want access to it as well. But I'm gonna try it out today and every day for the next 7 days as well, and that way I can tell you how it went. All right, I guess let's do it. Let's start with the date. Okay, this feels weird to just be typing out my thoughts while I'm being recorded, but okay. Okay, so my morning dump took about 45 minutes to get fully written out. I don't know if that's the average, don't know if that's too long, too short, and it really focused around what I thought the most valuable skills a creator could learn are. The reason is because I've been really nervous to do this video, mainly because I have an idea of what I want to do each day, but I don't have a script like I normally do, because how can I script out whether or not it's a good thing that I'm doing or how it goes when I haven't done it yet? And straight away, the thing I am noticing after trying out this mind dump is I kind of feel confident. I feel really ready to take on this challenge. And I think that might be because putting all of my thoughts and ideas down onto paper, or in this case, a screen, has made them almost tangible. It's kind of given me the ability to go, yeah, I can take this step by step and get this sorted. So I think with that, I'm happy to move on to day 2, where I'll also do a mind dump. I'm not going to show you every day's dump. And at the end, instead, I'll talk a little bit about what worked, what didn't work, and what I learned with doing the dump. All right, listen up. Day 2 is all about presenting or public speaking and learning how to do that with confidence. I used to be terrible at public speaking. I would tremble on stage, swing my legs, arms all over the place. I looked like a wacky wavy inflatable arm man. On camera, I would freeze up horribly, but I don't need to tell you that because you guys would have seen in my old videos just how bad I was.
All right, so you guys want to know how much a Twitch affiliate makes in their first month. Well, I don't know what every affiliate makes, but I know what I made, so you know what?
But I overcame this in one particular way, and it's all thanks to Ben Marriott, who has an amazing YouTube channel. He told me the best thing you can do is every day sit down without any preparation whatsoever with your phone and record for 10 minutes speaking nonstop into the camera. Then go away and go about your day. Do not watch it back. Don't think about it whatsoever. Put it in the back of your mind until a whole day passes and it's the next day. And then you're gonna watch it back in full. Don't look away. Don't get distracted. Don't pause it. Don't stop whatsoever. And when it's done, instantly hit record and start doing another 10-minute recording. Repeat this every single day for weeks and you'll see a massive improvement. Do it for months and you'll never stumble over words ever again. I did this for years and it worked wonders. Go look at my very first video and then compare it to this one now. The change is so drastic, you'd be shocked I am even the same person. But I do have to admit, about 6 to 7 months ago, I stopped doing this. I just ran out of time, and I am noticing that now, sometimes I'm just not as engaging as I thought I was being while recording. It's almost like as I record, I kind of begin getting monotonous, like I'm just covering the beats. So I want to bring this back. The way I will master public speaking or presenting is to start this again. Now, yes, the first 2 days might seem simple, but remember, this and my morning dump, which yes, I did today as well, and I'm still loving it, are longer term tasks. The idea of mastering something in a day is ludicrous. So the things I do in this video are designed to be small steps consistently, so I can turn around and see just how far I've come. And now I'm gonna go record my 10 minutes before getting back to my normal work, and I'll see you guys on day 3 for what we're covering tomorrow. Okay, I'm ready. Hey Eljay, hope you're having a great day. I always really struggle to know which side to talk to into this. I always look at myself, but then I'm not looking at the lens. Hey, this morning I got up, I made myself a coffee. I ate a crap load of potato salad, which if you don't know what potato salad is, it is... I'm gonna peel the eggs. Okay, it is day 3. I've already done my morning dump today. I put a good to-do list together. All of that stuff's out of the way. Sorry I didn't record it. Had to smash it out so I could go to the doctor because found out I got long COVID. Here I thought I was just a fat piece of shit, but no, turns out struggling to breathe, that's a symptom. Probably should have got that checked. Now, for today's task, it's all about research. Specifically, I am researching 2 things. I want to come up with a video idea for my side channel, and I also want to learn how to create better intros. The intro for a video is the make it or break it moment. So I'm going to watch just the intros of 10 to 30 videos in my niche. Specifically, I'm going to watch 10 AlphaRad videos, 10 Point Crow videos, and 10 Purple Cliff videos. Of that, I'm going to note how long it takes to finish the intro and get to the content. While watching, I will also note how many words each intro has, how many song changes, and I might count actual edits or cuts, but that feels extreme. The goal of this is to learn to analyze what makes something engaging, what hooks a viewer in my space, and by practicing this skill of research, I'll be able to start understanding this instinctively when I watch other videos. But before we get started, I'm gonna grab a coffee because I think this will only take me like 30-40 minutes to research. I filled it up too much. This is the very first one and it's done. Okay, the Pokemon game where you create fusions. The length of the intro is 28 to 29 seconds long, and then he smooths in by saying, I don't think I've ever picked Squirtle. It has 18 full frame edits. There's hundreds of small edits in the entire thing, but I'm calling them full frame edits because your eyes don't get bored of a shot. And he has 3 song changes. There's a song change at 6 seconds and a mood change with that. There's a song change at 15 seconds with another mood, and then there's another song change at 28 seconds when he gets out of the intro. That is wild. There is so many sound effects in the entire thing, and the fact that it's 90 words in 28 seconds with that much pumped in blows me away. Okay, you're probably sat there thinking that 30 videos, watching on average 30-40 seconds a video won't take long. That's easy, LJ. But I wasn't watching 30 to 40 seconds. I was analyzing it. I was writing every intro out word for word and counting how many words, counting the music changes, and I even counted the edits. I have so many notes in my Notion document here. Let me summarize a bit for you. Alpharad, on average, had intros that lasted between 30 seconds to 40 seconds. Most of the time, for a 30-second intro, he'd have about 70 to 100 words, okay? He'd always change the song in the first 30 seconds and make sure it was a tonal shift, which I thought was really interesting. It was almost like a repetitive trend that every intro would stop, shift pacing, and shift tone. So that was really cool. Point Crow had on average for his intros, they would last about 25 seconds and they would have about 60 to 70 words per intro. Pretty interesting how he always tries to add something that shifts the tone, much like Alpharad, but also sets up some major stakes. Purple Cliff. This man went ham. On average, his intros only last anywhere between 20 seconds to 25 seconds, and he gets like 65 to 80 words per one. He's very fast. He tends to really like showing something exciting that is going to happen later in the video, I noticed. And I also noticed that he starts every video with this kind of camera zooming into him, like we're being drawn in, which was a cool effect. To be honest, this took so much time that I'm not even gonna have time to come up with a video idea today like I wanted. So instead, I'm gonna use everything I learned to make an intro for a video idea I already have, but I haven't filmed yet. So we'll do that on day 4. Here we are. I did my morning dump. I've done my 10-minute recording. I wanna make a thumbnail for the video that I'm recording tomorrow. This might seem a bit weird, but I prefer to go into a recording session with the packaging of a video kind of already completed. If I know why the viewers clicked, then I feel confident producing the content, if that makes sense. So the video idea I mentioned yesterday while researching is the idea of I survived 100 days in open world Pokemon. So I'm going to start the process today by looking around and getting inspired about other videos of a similar style, but not directly in my niche. So I'm going to start this by searching up I survived 100 days and then hit enter. I survived 100 days as a tiger shark in hardcore Minecraft. I survived 100 days as a diamond tiger in hardcore Minecraft. I survived 100 days as a warden spider in hardcore Minecraft. I'm not the key demographic for this. There's also a Mr. Beast version of hardcore Minecraft 100 days. What's really interesting straight away that you can tell from this is that everyone who's not a giant content creator knows that they need to appeal to a story concept. So day 1, day 100. But then Mr. Beast is like, I'm gonna put my face on here, Minecraft, that's it, boom, you know who I am, click the video. Okay, this isn't working, so I'm gonna get a bit more niche with this, and I'm specifically going to search about the Stardew Valley 100-day challenge, because the Stardew community doing this challenge is actually what inspired my idea. Okay, cool, so I can learn a bit more from this. It's a bit more my style, and it seems like the absolute go-to is the words day 1 and day 100. With day 1 looking boring, broken, plain, messy, and day 100 being kind of epic, or at least a big change or some major shift, which is absolutely perfect. I can do that. I can get a bunch of cool Pokemon that are on the game and go from there. So I guess we'll just get Photoshop up and running and we will jump straight into it. Okay, so I just went to check my footage back, and the moment I opened up Photoshop, all of my recording froze and crashed, and I didn't see that. So instead, we're going to VO and I'm going to go through and show you a bit about what I did. I started first by finding sprites of all of the Pokemon Crystal towns and the Pokemon in that game. This is what the mod is built around, so using these is the most organic way of showing it off. These sprites are so tiny, so I added them to Photoshop and then increased the image size using the edit tool up here. I usually just add a 0 to the end of it because that makes it 10 times larger. And then I copy and paste the sprites over to my 1920 by 1080p thumbnail project and cut out the Pokemon I want to use using the masking tool. I start by adding a line down the middle and roughly lining up 2 different backdrops. On the right, we're going to go with this Pokemon Center, and on the left, we're going to go with this Wilderness. Next step, I want to add a character in both shots because the goal is to show progress. And so we need the same character in both of them to really be able to show the progress. Now, I want to get the left one perfect first, and I do this by adding a campfire. This is the campfire taken directly from the mod, and I used the same process as earlier to scale it up and then positioned it here on the left so it looks like we're in the wilderness. On the right, I start adding Pokemon sprites. Now, I showed you how I scaled up that Garchomp. And that was pretty much the process for all of these guys. I try use a mix of easily recognizable Pokemon and also exciting Pokemon. So I went with a Pikachu, I went with a Mewtwo, and I went with a Volcarona. Next, I added in this text and I made sure that I add a really nice thick stroke as well as a thick drop shadow and then a more sparse drop shadow to really make it stand out from the background. At first, I was using this big black bar, but I felt like it took too much away from the actual image. So I removed it and focused just on using the shadows to make sure it stands out from the background. Now, the next step is a bit tricky because I need to make sure I color correct everything so it pops out on the screen. First step is I added this hue and saturation to the whole thing, which is just simply boosting the saturation. And then I did specific changes to each shot. So I changed the background of the house to be just more contrasty and poppy. And then I did the exact same thing on the left. I added a brightness and contrast, which you can see changing there. And with that, okay, I think I am ready. I might make some changes to this as I go through the edit, but for now, I'm really happy with it. The goal of doing this early isn't so it's completely done and out of the way, but instead so that as I lead up to the release of the video, I can make changes and improve upon it rather than having to try rush it out right at the very end. One thing I'm really nervous about is that these aren't the most recognizable sprites. Not many people played Pokemon Crystal. Like, you can tell it's Pikachu, but you can't really tell the other ones. Maybe before release, I might grab this sprite sheet of the Soul Silver generation. I just feel like the Pokemon are much more recognizable, but are we then clickbaiting the graphics is the question. Are we clickbaiting the graphics by using these? I don't know. I'm going to stick with what I've got for now because it's the most accurate, but if I get scared, I might swap out some of these guys because they're just so much easier to recognize. Day 5 is here. Today I am filming. Now, when I film gameplay or screen recordings, I actually do something a little bit weird. I set up my OBS, which has my camera and whatever I'm capturing on my computer in it, to 3840 by 1080p. This gives me two 1920 by 1080p frames right next to each other. And then I increase my bitrate to like 35,000, 40,000 because there is a lot more data in that giant wide screen that needs to be sent, obviously. I put my full camera on the right, and then I put my game or screen capture, whatever I'm capturing, on the left. That way I get a full screen gameplay clean, and I get a full screen webcam clean as well in the exact same file. So when I then add my mic as its own source in OBS, and my game will have its own source as well, which means I have my audio and visuals synced up but not burned into each other, which is just pretty great, right? But today is all about learning new skills and improving myself. So what am I learning today? Well, I'm going to try a lesson I have learned from Dunkey's interview with H3H3.
Every time something happens, you hit the button, so you know to look at the end of the clip.
He only has to look at the end because he knows when something good happens.
So then you're going through like 3,000 clips, you just skip to the end every time.
That's brilliant.
I think since 100 days is the focus of this video, what I'll do is I'll stop and start recording at the dawn of every single day. So I can confidently have, say, 100 clips at the end, and I roughly will know what happens in each one nice and easily. But I think I'm all set to record, as you can kind of see. So I will do all of that and I'll try this out, but you will just get a little time lapse and then I'll cut straight to the, okay, so I'm wrapped on recording. I got about 30 to 40 days done and I think it went really well, to be honest. The starting and stopping makes it look like I have a lot of clips and it's a bit overwhelming right now. But I think tomorrow when I script my intro out and tidy the clips up in the editing software, it'll be much easier than if I had a 3 to 4 hour long recording session like I normally do, and I had to scrub through all of it to find things. Instead, I've just got day 1 through 10. These are a day 11 through 20. And as you can see, I've got folders that are set up to take on the rest of it as I go. So it's all cleaned up nicely. And now I'm going to go get some food, but I will see you guys on day 6. I've done my dump. I've done my recording. I'll tell you about those later. I am just keen to get into editing. Okay, let's open up Premiere Pro and I'll start walking you through what I'm doing. First things first, I started by dragging all of my footage in and putting them in folders of 10 days at a time, much like I had structured in my other folders. From there, I then put them into their own timelines. As you can see here, it says day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 10. And then they're split up into their sections. So each of these is their own clip. I frame up my gameplay. So as you can see here, this is all framed up nicely. If I turn off the FX, it goes to the side and you can see my cams on it. But I framed it up nicely and then I've added a crop so it is just my gameplay and not also my cam now. I then duplicate that and layer it on top. And if I turn off these effects, you can see this is what it looked like, but I made some motion to make it smaller. I added a crop and then I added a drop shadow. But I then turned it off because I don't want to use my cam unless absolutely needed for this video. I deleted any unnecessary audio tracks. Normally there are 6 audio tracks. I got rid of everything that wasn't just the game sound and wasn't just my microphone. I'm going to edit just with those. Now I have 10 days of gameplay and cam all cleaned up and ready for review. So what am I stealing? I mean, what am I learning and trying out today? Well, I watched a few interviews with Jaden Animations and Alpharad and stuff like that, and I noticed that they make notes through the footage at double speed and then script just the important parts out to tell a cohesive story. So today we're leaning just into the dot points, and then I'm going to tell a story by connecting those dot points together and summarizing it with a lot of VO. I start by watching the entire first 10 days back, and I made notes about what happened on each day. The note-taking part is fairly fast. As you can see here, I got through most of it pretty quickly. And once I'm done, I moved on to start scripting an intro. My goal in the first 30 seconds is to establish the characters, the concept, and the challenge. And I want to do it all in under 100 words. It needs to have a tone change in the middle that ups the stakes of the challenge, and it needs to have multiple song changes as well that help break up the pacing so it's not boring. Why am I just showing you the finished product? Because that took me 2 hours. I'm not joking. Just this here took me 2 hours. My major problem was I kept adding all this fluff to it that just wasn't needed. And I spent so long writing something, then cutting it down, writing something, then cutting it down and trying to make it shorter and shorter and shorter. From there, I recorded it as VO, so voiceover, and you can see it there. I just recorded this directly into Premiere by turning this on and just recording with my mic. And then I started putting visuals over the top to match it. I did make a mistake here. I didn't really think about the visuals I wanted to put over the top of the intro. I kind of had to figure that out as I went, but I'm really proud of this intro. Seriously, I think this might be the best one that I've ever edited. You guys have to wait to see the finished thing, but let me walk you through a little bit about what I did and how I how I learned from all these other people. So first things first, subtitles. We all know subtitles are crucial. As you can see here, they pop up as we go, but they're all in this nested sequence and they're all animated to pop in and out. They're pretty straightforward. The next thing I really wanted to do was I wanted to take what Purplecliff was doing with having a lot of cuts, but not making it so your eyes get thrown around a lot. And also that idea of the zoom where he kind of draws you in. And so what I did was I created this sequence here where essentially we're zooming in, and I found a series of shots from the 30 days where my character's always walking downwards, and then I've cut them together. So you can see it always stays on the same person as we move through all these different environments and things change. From there, I really just found visuals that seemed to match what I was talking about. So I used the map when I was talking about all the environments. I talked about all the Pokemon you can catch. So I showed a Slugma, rare events. I showed an event that I found, and of course, base building. So I showed that. I really just tried to keep it interesting. But one of the things I noticed was I was just kind of explaining what was happening. There was no stakes. There was no tonal shift. There was no real push for anything new to happen, which comes to our tonal shift, which you can see here. I get rid of one of the songs and instead have this alert sound play. This sound here is directly from the mod files. I went in, took it out, and I used this footage of these Dusclops, these aggressive Dusclops, seeing me in a dark ruin, and they attack me. And I used that to kind of zoom in and establish that I'm essentially being ambushed by these monsters. Then I grabbed the Clocktown sound effect from Majora's Mask, because I think it's really big in my niche, and I throw it here, and then I use the meme of Dawn of the First Day. Now, I edited this myself, so it's not actually accurate, but I think it looks pretty good, 100 days remaining. It fades out, a new music starts. So we have 1 song, 2 song, sound effect, 3rd song. And that's it. We're at 40 seconds. This is where our thing ends right here. At 32 seconds is where our intro is officially over. And I think it works. I think it works really well. I'll let you watch the whole thing later in the video though. The final day, day 7. Today is all about the amazing skill of self-critique. Arguably, it's actually the most important skill in this list. Friends, family, other creators rarely give you feedback you need because they want to be supportive and nice. They want to lift you up. But a lot of the time when they're doing that, they're really holding back the honest opinion that you kind of suck. But I want to look back at each day of this week and talk a little bit about how I succeeded, failed, what I learned, starting with organization. The truth is, some days I hated this morning dump routine. I don't know how creators seem to have so much time to spend on organizing themselves. I don't have an hour every morning to do a morning dump of what I'm thinking about, working on, planning out for my day, let alone I can't have 6 different apps and calendars that all talk to each other. I can't write a new to-do list every single day like these guys do, or have a bunch of different notebooks that you can fill out. It's just unreasonable. So I felt like such a failure on the days where I had to cancel my morning dump or where I just didn't feel like doing it. And to be honest, I feel like a failure for not vibing with the whole concept because look, Ali, the guy I respect, is doing it and gets millions of views. But then I went back to watch one of these videos to see if maybe I'm just doing it wrong. And I saw this comment. So look, I guess I just have to do what I have to do. And I think I learned that while my system isn't perfect, it works for me. And the morning dump did help when I could do it. I just need to put less pressure maybe on myself to do it every day. So maybe I'll take the weekends off. I'm not sure. All I know is it helped the days where I did do it, but I don't want to make it a frustrating process. So maybe I just won't always force myself to do it. Now, as for public speaking on day 2 and every following day, it was really nice starting this exercise again. I think because it's such a small time investment, like if you can't find 20 minutes each day to practice arguably one of the most important skills in content creation, it's kind of going to be tough to find the time to do anything else. I didn't want to weigh down this video by talking about this every single day, but the hardest part of doing this is getting comfortable hearing your own voice. And after a few days, that's completely gone. You become so much more confident in yourself and in your voice by listening back to it, recording, and repeating. So I really recommend everyone start this process. For day 3, research, I don't think there is much to learn. I think I overloaded my plate wanting to research video ideas and intros at the same time, but out of all 7 days, this was by far the most effective. I've never had my entire brain reset on a topic or idea like this before, and I think it shows in the intro that I wrote and edited, which I'll show you soon so you can see how far I've come. One thing I would do differently is I would maybe ease up on the structure and how intense I'm going about these things, or maybe try and spread the research out over a few weeks. Doing it all in one day was great, but oh my god, I don't think I can watch another intro of a video ever again. Day 4, to be honest, when it came to graphic design, I feel like maybe I hammed it in a bit. I was just exhausted and drained. I'd barely slept the night before, and I know that I didn't push myself out of my comfort zone. I love what I've created, don't get me wrong, but I don't know if I mastered a skill on the graphic design day. I made something new, I guess, which is great. I learned a new technique in scaling up pixel art, and maybe the thing we learned was just getting what you can done some days is also a part of being productive. So don't put pressure on yourself as long as you get what you get done. In terms of actual time-saving techniques, holy crap, day 5 had to be the best learning moment for me. You have no idea how amazing the start and stop recording idea I stole from Dunkey was. Sure, it doesn't work for recordings like this one here, but for long recordings where things happen all over the place, being able to jump to the start of or end of a clip and instantly orient yourself with the content, oh my god, it was huge. I really recommend setting this up as a system for anyone doing long-term recordings. Find a way to make it so that everything gets cut up into nice, organized clips. And if you don't believe me, well, seriously, day 6, it showed. I found and cut up footage so fast. It blew me away. I have never edited gameplay that quickly before. Usually it takes me hours to go through these clips because they're like 2 to 3 hour long clips. I think because we did it this way, it meant that I had this extra organization and extra energy to spare that I could use to focus on actually polishing and crafting the intro I made. Is it the best intro? I don't know. Will I keep working on it after this video? Absolutely. Do I love it? Yes. Should I stop stalling and show you? I suppose, but don't be harsh because it's still got time on it and this was really just pushed out in one day. But first, I want to say thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. When I first started out in the film industry, I was a lost university student. I was still learning how to edit, use a camera, and suddenly I also had to try figure out how to run a business, set up time management, talk to clients, and to be honest, at first, I really messed all of that up. It took me a lot of trial and error before I learned how to do it all confidently. I'm talking years of running my own business before I felt like I was doing it properly. But here's the thing, you may know Skillshare for classes in photography, video editing, and more, but did you know Skillshare has hundreds of career-focused classes that would have saved me from making all those mistakes? Take Ali Abdul's class on productivity for creators, for example. It takes you from having no idea where to start and sets you on track to build powerful habits that keep you creating even on the days you just don't feel up to it. For me, thinking about all the things we need to learn to be successful creators is incredibly stressful. And sometimes it can even cause me to just freeze up and not get anything done. So I really liked in this class that I was able to start small and just focus on trying to improve my productivity. And even after all these years in the business, there are plenty of things that I can pick up and learn from classes like this. And obviously you guys can do that as well. especially because the first 1,000 people to use the link in the description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. So click that link, get a free trial, and while you're there, I also really recommend checking out the Cinecom courses. Those guys are amazing for the creative side. Okay, let's finally check out my new intro with everything that I've learned. A true open world Pokemon experience is something every fan has asked for, and this is it. Wilds is a completely open world Pokemon game with procedurally generated environments, hundreds of Pokemon to catch, rare events to discover, and most importantly, it has base building. Today we're generating a new world with the goal of surviving 100 days, which in a normal Pokemon game isn't too hard. But in this game, danger lurks everywhere. What do you think? I like it. I hope you guys did. I really enjoyed this week. It's been kind of stressful, and originally I set out with the idea of wanting to film in lots of different rooms and locations, but because of life, I ended up having to do most of it at my desk and in my office, so I apologize if it was boring. That has made me feel like maybe I failed. So I wanted to end by asking, what determines if I have mastered something? Well, the definition of mastered is gain control of, overcome. So by that logic, as long as I take steps to improve and can see I learned something or improved upon something, I overcame it and gained control of it, then I mastered it.